Welcome, everyone, to Chirping Zebras, episode 77, the Ray Bork episode, of course. Mark Riley alongside Gino Benda Jr., as always. Coming to you from AOA Studios in Beverly, best place to tape anything you're going to tape. Off the hop, we want to thank our sponsor, the Referee's Crease, your one-stop shop for all your refereeing needs. You got the quarter zip on.
The quarter zip on.
Fantastic. Also want to remind you to like and subscribe on YouTube. Smash the like and subscribe button and follow us on all the social medias, the Facebook, the Instagram, and of course,
the TikTok.
Absolutely, the TikTok. So follow us on all those. We have an awesome episode tonight. Very excited, but one of Matt Light last week. If you haven't seen Matt Light, episode 76, he is a funny dude.
Massive human.
Oh, Matt, he's a big boy.
Massive human, big personality, and he's absolutely hysterical. He's one of those athletes that drive you nuts because he just like you said, he goes, well, football doesn't make or break who I am, right? It doesn't define who I am, which I thought was friggin' awesome, right?
Yeah.
He just went and he was just good at it and he was professional. He just went in and played. So those type of people that are just naturally gifted at that drive me nuts.
Yeah.
But it's awesome to see. I had to work for everything in hockey and I still do, right? I wasn't gifted. I had hands like stones, right? But he, for whatever reason, hockey defines who I am, right? Because this is what I do for a living. But, I wish I kind of had that mindset. It really doesn't, define who I am as a person.
Right.
But, I'm just, hey, he's the referee guy, right? Matt Light, he hunts, he does this, he does, when you say about Matt Light, you're not talking, he's great. Yeah, he was an awesome offensive lineman. But he is so much bigger and all his foundation is just great. Everything he does,
foundation is just
so
incredible.
Good.
What they do for the kids and all the fundraising they do, it's just it's an incredible thing.
Yeah,
and I love the fact that he messed with Belichick and Dante Scarnecchia and all those guys that are real serious. And I loved his Brandon Spike story.
Yeah, nobody was off limits. Yeah, which is good.
No, so if you haven't seen that one, you got to watch that one. And the one before, Kenny Hodge, not senior and junior. We found that out. Yeah. They have different middle names, which I found interesting.
I wish my old man.
What's crazy is on Wikipedia, they call him senior and junior, which is hilarious.
Well,
and I'm like, no.
You can't trust Wikipedia.
No, well, I know that. I almost changed it just because I know
because
now.
You can't.
I got the inside scoop. But yeah, check out both those
I think the internet
episodes.
would explode if you changed something on Wikipedia.
I don't think everyone changes stuff on Wikipedia.
I know, but if you touched it, though,
we got to get,
explode.
Well, yeah, no, that's true. They wouldn't trust what I'd type. We got to get a Wikipedia page. That's what we need.
I don't want one.
This podcast defines me.
Yeah.
Chirping Zebras. If this doesn't work, I got nothing else. You know what I mean? The comedy in this, I was asked what's my 401k like, and I said I'm going to tell dick jokes till I'm 80, and that's not a joke. So please like and subscribe.
Can we make it 5 minutes?
And follow us on social medias. No, that's okay. Right. I don't think YouTube worries too much about anything other than the F-bomb. And they have you flagged as someone that they have to watch. You're on the watch list.
I'm on the watch list.
The YouTube watch list. That says a lot if you're with me. All right. Our guest, you know what? I couldn't wait for this day to come because this guy, amazing human, and also a retired Navy SEAL. And that right there, I've said it before in the show, Navy SEALs or any special ops are my rock stars. So we want to welcome retired Navy SEAL Jon Echols to the show. Welcome to the Zebras.
Right on, welcome.
Boys, thanks for having me. Yeah, it's been a few months, I know.
Yeah.
We kind of started this July 4th or 5th, the concept of it, and finally
made it happen.
Yeah, well,
fruition, so.
That was out in Montana for the Face Off of Heroes event, and I got the jersey hanging that I acquired, Your Honor, out there, and what an event. But what was cool is I remember asking you, so can you do podcasts? And you were like, yeah, I'm retired. Why not?
Why not?
So I was
come off the grid,
right? Yeah, let's give it a go.
I was very excited about that because we've had Ryan Crowley on, Aaron Bogosian. We've had a few, but never for a whole. Well, Ryan was on for a whole episode. Frank,
with Frank. Yep.
But you're the first solo SEAL to grace our presence
Well,
So.
yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciated the ask as soon as you said it. And, typical team guy mindset, you don't say no. And without thinking, I was like, absolutely. And then I sat there and deliberated the rest of the day. I was like, oh, man, what did I just sign up for? I mean, I kid you not, on the flight home, and I mentioned it when I got here, it's like excited nervousness. But I'm like, what am I going to talk about? What are we going to, bring up? But, yeah, thanks for bringing me on. And,
Oh, no.
yeah, what a place to meet, huh? Out in Bozeman for that tournament. That was just unreal.
That was incredible. 10 former NHLers, right? And including Frank Simonetti, one of our biggest fans of the show. And special ops hockey.
Army Special Operations,
Army Special,
and then SEALs. Yep.
And I'll tell you what, my favorite part of that weekend, and it was just incredible, right? Being on the ice, doing the comedy show, dealing with the kids stick handling the golf ball. But my favorite part was the hour and 20-minute ride out and back to Kevin Miller's house. And I said it before.
Yeah, right.
That was my favorite part of that whole trip, was just sitting there and the six of us just, talking shop.
Yeah, locker room talk.
Yeah.
I had a lot of folks ask me a lot, after what was the highlight, and I really had to sit there and think, and I think that was top. It was up there, but the kickoff Friday night with you doing the comedy show, or Thursday night, whatever it was, just so many things. And I remember I sent Ryan a message the next morning, and it was all I could think was I sent him something like, my heart is full and I'm on cloud 9. Like, this is massive.
Yeah.
And you just heard that from everyone, the same semblance, the same story, and yeah, really special, and hopefully we'll get it cruising. I know we're talking about doing it every summer now, and yeah, it's just great. So,
And
I think it's only going to grow.
They did another one in San Diego, right?
They did.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
got
they
one,
just did a week or two ago. Maybe
I saw that, yeah.
Yeah.
So it was just, it's a great way to describe it, because for me, it's great to hang out with Eli Frady and all these, guys that I watched growing up. But like I just said it in the intro, hanging out with, you guys, special ops guys, is just, and being able to make you laugh and bust your balls and have fun with it. That was just, just amazing. That's the best part of it.
It was a special weekend, and I've talked to, folks over the years, and athletes or whomever, they've made it to their elite kind of level. And I don't know, it's just this special professional courtesy, I think, and you get to share that, and everything's put aside. And, one of my good friends who's in the show, I remember visiting him, and we're sitting on his back porch and just catching up. And he's, doing very well as a tender. And I was like, this is all great. Like, I'm excited. I got buddies that are in the show and pulling into the tunnel with them. You feel like a little kid, Right. So I grew up playing hockey, and if I had been able to tell my 10-year-old self, I would have slapped and said, "You're a liar. You're making this up." But I remember looking at him and just saying, "Hey, this is all great, but in 10 years, 12 years, when we're sitting around the lake, with kids, you're hanging out, like, it's just special. So it goes beyond this, right? And the bonds and the relationships you make. And it's neat. We're very fortunate to be exposed to one another and get the opportunity. So pretty awesome."
Kevin Miller, I'm glad we went out to, he's in Pony, Montana, which is in the middle of nothing. Bozeman was nice, but it was kind of like Worcester with nice mountains. You know what I mean? The mountains are beautiful, and then there was a Walmart right in front of them. But when we drove out there into that countryside and his ranch, it was like just incredible.
It's peaceful.
Yeah.
There's no other way to put it. You're just, it's serene for sure.
I almost lived out there. I almost lived out there for hockey season. So like Scott Brand, I was at one of those like USA camps.
Okay.
You get off and live in an apartment, and I'm like, Bozeman, Montana. I'm like, I don't know. I was like, I can stay home, work college hockey, do this, do that, and basically pick my own schedule, right? Or I'm going to go out in Bozeman and give it a shot. And I was like, I think I'm going to stay home. And my buddy Sweeney went and fucking did it. He lived in Montana. Yeah, Salty kid in Montana.
Salty kid in Montana. That's crazy.
Lived with a kid from two kids from New Jersey. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but yeah, he said it was unbelievable. Then I lived in Omaha, Nebraska the following season. So. Yeah, so I don't know which was, really nice spots.
Nothing against Omaha.
Omaha's great.
I'm a mountain guy.
Big Sky,
Colorado.
Big Sky country, corn country. Right. I don't know. I think you made the wrong choice.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I never made it out there, yeah. Maybe I'll have to go out there next summer.
Yeah.
If I don't have a hockey tournament to go to.
Well, next summer, hopefully, they said they were talking about doing it every year.
Yeah.
So maybe both Zebras can go out and be a part of it.
Yeah, I don't know if Dylan will be back with the Bruins or not next year, so I'll probably be able to go.
Yeah, you went to Utah.
Yeah, we went to Utah.
That's why he wasn't with me. He was going to come with me.
Yeah, she plays goalie for it was like the summer travel team, the Junior Bruins. Yeah, they're pretty good and whatnot. And that's where you go. You go to like Vegas next year, Nashville the next, and then the big one in Edmonton. So I don't know if she'll. It's an elite program, so it's tough. She's a goalie, but I don't know if she'll make it next year. We'll see.
Did you go to the rodeo out there?
I did, yeah.
Now, have you been to a rodeo?
I have.
Was that your first rodeo?
No.
Because it was mine.
Pun intended, or no?
Yeah.
No, I had been to, being in Colorado, growing up in Colorado, I'd been to multiples, some family in Wyoming. And but it had been, over a decade for sure. But I feel like most of the folks had not been.
No.
So it was, I think, another special experience and recipe for that it all lined up. Rain or not,
I was going to say, have you ever been to one that was a mud bowl.
I've not.
A complete mud bowl.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Did they do like the barrel races and the tie?
That was
so
one of,
sick. How fast they go. It's insane, right?
Yeah.
In that mud, the barrel racing, you're just like, and they were getting.
Did anybody get bucked off? Good. Anybody fall?
Not
they
off
take
the barrel
tigers.
racing.
Yeah,
they were all girls. Like most.
Yeah,
of
most of the girls,
and
they were awesome. Yeah.
Early college.
Yeah,
they were incredible.
Yeah.
They were. My favorite part was I don't know what they call it because I'm a city kid, but when the horses go out and chase the little cows, the steers,
the roping,
and they rope the head, rope the feet, and those cows were so disinterested in that shit. They came out of the gate like, "Are you fucking kidding me? This mud, really? I got to do this."
That's funny.
That was my favorite part. Was watching their reaction.
We go to a dude ranch every year for a family vacation in the Adirondacks in New York. And like I get made fun of from all my friends in the Midwest and everywhere else. They're like, "Dude, that's not a rodeo." They're like, "You got to come out here with the real horses and the cows are."
It's nice up there though.
Oh yeah,
we were just up there a week ago. Yeah, we did a hockey tournament, like another Warriors veteran tournament in Long Island, and then went straight up to Vermont.
Oh,
it's
no
up
kidding.
in Champlain.
Wow.
Some family friends. They've had a couple houses up there for years. Their grandparents had them, and it's just so peaceful. We're like. You have to drive a couple miles to get cell service.
Yeah.
But driving through that part of New York is it reminds you of like, you leave that crazy city and then you get up there and it's like.
It's nice areas, Saratoga. And,
Yep. Exactly.
Now, Warrior for Life. Talk a little bit about that because it's such an amazing organization and what they do and, how they do it. It's just, it goes beyond just the hockey, obviously.
Sure.
But a lot of people might not know that. I mean, and it's what does it mean to you as a retired Navy SEAL to have something like that?
Well, it means enough where we're trying to replicate it to a form in Northern Virginia outside of DC with special operations hockey. But when I say trying to replicate it, we're going to get there. But what they've done, from practice 3 or 4 times a week, multiple hours, sled hockey, they have the speech pathology. They have the whole, I don't know if you've been down. So
I haven't, no.
Oh my
November
gosh.
29th is my first trip. I can't wait.
So well done. They have gyms in there, so guys can come. They have gym hours. They go work out. Tables for physical therapy and, any modalities you can think of in there. Some dry ice, right? Like the plastic ice setup. They do, like recovering seals, all kinds of modalities. Different folks need different things, right? Some go talk to a psych, some talk to a chaplain, or, some go to the different clinics, and they've done something special. And then hockey in itself, that's what we identified as what's beautiful in what they do is it's active duty, it's retired, it's people that have played, continued playing. It's folks that have never touched the ice, never touched a puck. And frankly, a lot of folks I meet are guys, gals want to do it, but it's so cost inhibitive, right? So they remove that, the barrier to entry, which is great. Get them all the gear and get kids out there, and it's really special. For me personally, doing something similar up in our area, I hadn't skated since I was a kid, really, maybe 20 years old, once in a while. I started doing it again with the guys last summer. I'd already retired, right? I retired 2.5 years ago. So for me, it was great because I'm around the boys again. I'm around the brotherhood and the crew, hearing some stories and the laughs, and whether it's parking lot beers or whatever it is. And then it was great as well because, Mark, one of the guys you met in Bozeman, he's retiring here shortly. And I was able to attempt to, pass on some lessons I learned in transitioning, retiring out of the military, things, do's or don'ts, or, whatever it might be. And just guys being around each other, getting the energy out, just so many healthy things. Again, to each their own and what they might need. But there's nothing like looking forward to those Monday nights or Thursday nights. Heck, we run a new skater clinic And we did it this morning. So I skated this morning before I flew out.
Wow.
We had 10 guys show up this morning. And again, a myriad of folks that played in high school, maybe a little bit in college, that now are getting back on the ice.
That's awesome.
Or we have 2 that were out there that, just started. And it's fascinating, as you well know, you've been around the guys and similar mentalities of where a guy goes from in 365 days, in a year and a half. And, you'll tell other people, they're like, oh, how long so-and-so been playing? And you're like, oh, a year. Like, what? But again, you take that mentality and these guys are like all in, right?
Yeah.
So it's pretty great. And again, what Ryan and those guys have done has just, the dream would be to have the ice like they do, right? And have all the equipment. Yeah. But all the recognition and tournaments and awards and things they've gotten is very well deserved. It's a very special thing.
Yeah.
So we try to remind people of that. It's not, I want to say I'm certainly not downplaying. It's for the love of hockey, but it's bigger than that, right?
Yeah.
Camaraderie. So.
Now,
very long-winded answer to your question.
No,
pretty
fantastic.
No, that was a great answer.
And I don't know if I want to make sure everyone can hear you.
Sorry.
Because your stuff is so good. And I know as
Fidgety,
a SEAL,
fidgety little guy.
you probably identified everything in the room and what could hurt you, and he's pretty much the only one. I've heard you guys talk about how SEAL teams and hockey teams are very similar, and the crossover is very easy. And that's, fascinating, because that's something that hockey players would never think of. I've never, until I got involved with you guys, I never thought a SEAL team is like, my favorite thing is SEAL Team, the show. Love that show. My favorite show. And you had said it's
there's some,
accurate.
And I'm not one to watch the James Bond movie and be like, that's not real, that I'm him, but it's like, come on, this is the movie. But, some of the shows, some of those movies, particularly about the teams, the SEAL teams, I'll eventually watch. But yeah, I had some folks ask me about that one years ago. Like, you haven't watched it? You haven't watched it? And I'm like, okay, I'll give it a go. And watch one episode, and I'm like, I'm looking, watch another one. By the third episode, I'm like, okay, who's consulting, or who, the gear, the way they act, all these things. So, there's definitely some accuracies in those. It's pretty interesting. Even the uniforms that they're cutting the sleeves, So, but again, guys are gonna listen to this and be like, oh, I understand. Everybody has an opinion. Right. I'm not saying it's accurate 100% to the T, but comparatively to other things that I've seen out, I was like, oh. And then, you kind of start reading, and you're like, oh, okay, I know who that guy is, or who's, producing it or helping executive produce. But yeah, so pretty interesting.
What led you to be a Navy SEAL? Was it something you've always wanted to be? Yeah. Was it something that it just came through fruition? Or?
Yeah, great question. I'm told that I was about 4 or 5. I always thought maybe I was a little older. I know I've wanted to do it since I was little. I always loved the water. I was never on a swim team, but comfortable in the water. I think like a lot of kids, cops and firefighters and doing that, the military thing. And then I always remember, and I can still see it. I've actually tried to find it, go research. Can I find it on eBay or something? But it was a Soldier of Fortune magazine. And a guy was coming out of the water with face paint, a boonie hat on, right? Your camouflage round hat. He had a gun. And I was like, that's what I want to be. And so I started kind of asking, asking some family and asking people, and they were like, oh, those are Navy SEALs. Those are the best. They're this and that. So again, that just kind of ingrained it. And I lived with that dream all the way through high school. There was one year, I don't know why, I always remember this. I started looking at prep school, and do I want to, the hockey route, and knowing I'm never going to make it to the show, but maybe I can make it a little, somewhere. And so for like a year, I was like, maybe I'll do something different. And then my senior year, I went right back to it and was like, this is what I want to do. Yeah, and at that time, it's all the shooting and the diving and the jumping, and that kind of attracts you. And it's a great challenge. It was. I had a lot of drive to do that. And by my senior year, I knew I was originally going to go to school, and that was one of the deals as I go to college, rightfully so. They were like, absolutely military, absolutely follow your dream, but heaven forbid you get hurt or something happens. And then I just had this feeling where I was like, I was almost too scared to put it off, afraid that, I'd go get a degree for 4 years and then be like, now I'm 22 at that time, seems so old, but, and then wouldn't do it. And so I always remember the day I walked in and told them like, I have to do this. And again, I was 18, so they weren't, respectfully like, hey, I'm going to do this.
Right.
And so, I went in and got after it, and that drove my summer, 2-a-day workouts. I mean, at that age and lack of knowledge, who knows how good they were for me, but, the running and the swimming and just doing everything I could to prepare. and to get ready for it. Prep myself as best I could. And, at that time there was one documentary out, a few books, so you kind of study as best you can. Now, obviously there's tons of things, right, wrong, or indifferent. It's a whole, conversation in itself. But yeah.
Now, Hell Week and the training itself, right? And then Hell Week, I think I read 25% make it out of Hell Week or something like that.
You see some different numbers, sometimes you see 40, 50% attrition. It kind of jumps around. But that's about what we're averaging. And again, I'd be lying if I could tell you the numbers in the last couple years. Right. But, some classes you'd see start with a couple hundred and they might end Hell Week with 20 something. And that's pretty massive. I believe we ended with 45, 50, if I remember right, starting with 2 something. And I say starting, that's like indoctrination, like day one, you're really just kind of figuring things out for a few weeks. And then after Hell Week, for the most part, I know it has happened, but generally once guys make it through Hell Week, then you're not cruising. I was about to say cruising, but I guess relatively, then you're going through your phases, and it's rare to see guys quit after that.
Right.
Some folks won't make it through for performance, but they, again, they're there to crawl, walk, run, and you start sprinting. But we need folks, right? The community needs guys, and so if, somebody has some kind of shortfall with maybe it's obstacle course or not making the swim times, they're there to get you up to that.
How bad is Hell Week?
Oh, it's pretty easy, man. It's super overrated. No, it's funny.
I watch videos. That's bullshit.
Yeah. You go in and obviously you're asked this question a bit, and it's probably been a while since I've been asked, but you always hear it's so mental. It's so mental. It's so mental. It is absolutely mental, but it's obviously very physical as well.
Yeah.
You're fed tons of calories to keep you going. I think that Hell Week for sure, but a lot of evolution. So evolutions are, certain different tasks or things you have to pass throughout SEAL training. And for me, a lot of it was the anticipation is sometimes almost worse, right? And that's where I think you get to like some of the mental stuff is you talk yourself out of it. They always say like one meal at a time, one day, one evolution at a time, right? If you have a swim this morning, and an obstacle course in the afternoon, just go evolution to evolution, go day to day. And before you know it, and this is all advice from the instructors and people when you're there, this is not, John's knowledge it was passed on to me. I'll say that. But the weeks fly. The months fly if you look at it like that. I think it's overwhelming if you go, oh man, in 2 weeks we have pool comp, where you're getting rolled around and doing diving and you're like, oh, this is just too much. I'm already tired. I'm already this and that. It's definitely brutal. I think by, again, I'm racking my brain, but Wednesday, because you start typically Sunday evening, you do your breakout. It's all in books, is all open knowledge. And then you just keep pushing and you start, immediately when you do breakout, it's chaos, right? It's guns with blanks firing in the air, water everywhere. They'd bring in fire trucks from Coronado, I think on base and out in the town. So it's just madness. Everyone's yelling, percussion grenades going off. And you immediately see people start quitting, hearing the bell ring. And a lot of great guys, great folks, they just didn't quite maybe have it or didn't want it at that point. And in some ways, in a not negative way, sometimes that's motivating, right? Because you're like, man, now because as you probably know, they take their helmets and they line them up right outside of the instructor's office. And seeing that,
don't know that, but
no, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So all the people.
So when they ring the bell, they'll take their helmet off. And then they line them up. So you can pull up pictures of it. And they'll line them up outside the instructor's office in what we call the grinder. It's kind of like a parking lot, which, again, people are going to be like rolling their eyes. But effectively, to explain it, that's what it is. And that's where you do a lot of your physical training and PT and stuff. And so, you line the helmets up. And that represents how many folks have dropped on request, DOR,
so
rang the bell. Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
And again, sometimes you see that and you're like, okay, I'm still here, right? I think for me, people are like, how do you think you got through, or what made you push? A couple things I thought of. One is I always told myself early on, log PT is a you carry the heavy logs around the telephone poles that are cut down, pretty gnarly. And you do those for hours at some points. And that's one that always comes to mind. And I always told myself, before I was under the logs, and certainly when I was under there, one of the things I said is I don't want to show my face at home to friends, to kids I grew up with, hockey teammates, amazing friends that would welcome me with open arms. It's okay. But mentally I kept saying, I don't, because even if it was always scary to get hurt, right? And your heart always breaks when people get hurt. But either way, to come back and say I didn't make it or I wasn't there was so scary and frightening to me.
Right.
Obviously probably an ego thing and deeper issues there. But, but to be said, that was one of them. I always thought, to this day, I'm a big planner. Right, wrong, or indifferent, sometimes too much. But I was always like, this is going to set me up. This will set future family up. This is such, a powerful thing to achieve. And honestly, too, I didn't know what else I wanted to do.
Right.
You could figure it out. I could go, I had an injury and I remember somebody being like, you can go to school now. I'm like, that's frightening.
I don't want to
do that. Fuck school. I don't want to go to school, right? Most of my friends were awesome. Like, I'm not ready yet. And I eventually did, and wonderful. The Navy's paid for my back, all these things. But those are a couple things. And then I think another big one, probably like maybe the final one I'm thinking of is everything is, everything's dialed in at Buds. It's SEAL training. It's very well run. They can only put you in the cold water, the surf zone, for so long, right? Mm-hmm. And that they can only do one of those log PT evolutions for so long. There's going to be an end. And I always thought, how would I feel when everyone's super cold, you're freezing, it's hell week, and they've got bonfires like off in the distance, and they do all these things to try to get you, rightfully so, right? Right. The first time I got a bite of a warm meal, but then took that shower. And the feeling of getting out of that warm shower after you quit. And again, apologize if that happened to you, but I was just like, that scared me so much, because at that point you're not going back in. You can't come back and say, I changed my mind, right? Right. You can always try to go back again later. And again, I'd be lying if I remembered, a year or two, and they'll let you come back, you can apply and these things. But again, that was a big one for me. It's just like laying there then in bed. Okay, now I'm warm, now what? Right. I think also, I was 19, so I was too stupid, and stubborn to know any different. That helped. And, we had some folks that were older, over 30s, and they used to allow you to get waivers and go in. And I was like, man, I don't know how they're doing it. At 19, you get a weekend off in between, training, and you're like a new person on Monday, So I think those are some of the things that really drove me and certainly helped me. Seeing, obviously you talk about camaraderie and the people you're surrounded by. And that's where, depending on your background, that certainly starts solidifying it. But if you grow up playing sports or playing hockey, you have a bit of that, but that really is like, kind of the step one and intro into what that is in the military. Right. And a lot of units have that. Outside of special operations.
This is a referee podcast, right? And like refereeing is not for everybody either. Mm-hmm. I'm not comparing refereeing to Navy SEALs, just so you guys know. I am not comparing that. It is not even close. But however, I got this question the other day. We're at a restaurant just talking hockey, right? I'm with a couple of guys that are running the EHL. And the guy across behind us was like, oh, you guys talking hockey? Were you guys business over there? I'm like, oh, yeah, actually we are. Right? So we started talking to this guy, and his kids all play. He has 3 teenage kids. And I'm like, hey, how come you don't how your kids want to start reffing? My kids are never going to ref. Never. It's too dangerous. I was like, you're shitting me, right? Hit Navy SEAL over here, right? Reffing's not that dangerous, right? No. What's someone going to yell at you and hurt your feelings? Like, give me a fucking break, right? So, like, that's about it, right? So they're like, I'm like, but we are getting attacked. People are coming on the ice and physically attacking us and physically abusing us. So, like, honestly, I didn't have an answer for that guy. I was like, he threw me for a loop. I was like, I don't have an answer for you. I was like, well, why don't, I was like, I'm not going to call him soft or whatever, right? Because, I understand it, because it does take a certain person to do something, to referee, to take criticism, because, someone's going to get pissed off at you. You're not going to make everybody happy, but, you got to go in and make difficult decisions and, goal and no goal. You're going to ruin someone's day by no matter what decision you're going to make, right? So, that's what my comparison is. It's not for everybody, but, it's kind of, similar. Even when you were talking, too, when I had a really hard game to come up to, right? I just want to relate this to our audience in this, but I would always say to myself, 5 minutes at a time, or you get 3 timeouts, make it to the timeout. Break it down that way to get yourself through a game. Don't look at the end, right? And then there's nothing better than that hot shower at the end of a game, though, right? Because you just went through battle, I say, right? And then you have a nice cold beer and that camaraderie like you guys do, right? But
yeah, no, and what I thought of was, I started in the juniors, went to minor pro. You're working up to make the NHL, and there's plenty of times when you're driving.
Yeah, you're like, what the fuck am I doing?
And you're like, I don't want to do this. Yeah. And then, for me, I got hired, and then a week later got fired. So it's kind of like that, like there's no reapplying, right? You're done. And you're not done in the sense of refereeing.
Back to Mike's, yeah.
A lot of us work to get to that NHL. And when you don't, you got to figure out, all right, what am I going to do now? And
find your level.
So that's what I thought of was that
progression.
grind.
Yeah.
And again, not saying refereeing and Hell Week is anything the same.
But no, mentally, I get it. There's
similar.
certainly similarities. Yeah, and I think that's the way in a lot of fields or careers and athletes or not. Right. And it's that same. You could be a CEO, you could be an accountant, and you're going to have some kind of correlation.
Yeah,
there.
right.
So I think that's fair.
What was the hardest thing of Hell Week? Because I watched a video of these guys. They were at the beach, and they would get the boats over their heads, and then they'd go in the water, and then they'd crawl, and they crawled everywhere. And you could just see, like, they'd close up on the face.
And it's all in dark, too, right? It's like
exhaustion.
Yeah.
Like, one guy ran into the water, like he had to run back in the water, and he flopped backwards, and he's way behind everyone. And you can see him getting up like, what the fuck? And I couldn't imagine, like, that level of exhaustion.
Yeah, again, I think you definitely Again, I just, Wednesday sticks in my head, Wednesday morning, Tuesday night, you kind of just get into robot mode and you just kind of go. Now you're still listening to directions, you're still doing things, but it almost gets to a point, where, again, relatively speaking, you can only break them down so much.
Right.
Now let's keep them going. Let's see, I don't want to say they ease up, but it's not as crazy as the first 2 or 3 days. But those first 36 hours is just all out. I mean, carrying the boats down. I want to say I should have looked all this up. So hate on me, but let's say, 7 miles, down from where the Buds compound is down towards Imperial Beach or to Imperial Beach. And then you're running back with nothing. And then you're grabbing the logs and you're doing all these trips. And so you're like, oh man, this is real. This is happening. I keep talking about log PT. For me, when people ask, I think that was just always the shittiest evolution. It's a gut check. It's good. It's grinding. But one of the interesting things is, you can start with a boat crew of 7 under there. The minimum you can have is 5. So if guys are quitting from your log or another one and things start shifting around, you could have a minute or hours where it's just 5 of you instead of 7, but you're carrying that same weight. So that was, that was a good mental gut check. I know for a lot of guys, speaking for buddies, some of the cold water, you do this thing out in the bay in San Diego, and they're putting you in the water and you're laying on these piers and that really like gets guys. I was fortunate in the cold respect in that I run warm. So I think that worked in my favor.
Yep.
A bit. Now, again, don't get me wrong. Still very cold, still freezing. The water temp over there is always cold. It's not like Florida water. But that definitely lended a little, I don't even say advantage, but it was one less thing for me to really kind of like worry about where other guys are freezing. Skinny guys that are fast as heck, but hard dudes. And they made it.
Right.
But it's just kind of different stuff, right? Kind of pick your poison and get your advantages where you can, right?
So once you're on a team, I know it's different, but like watching those 7 in the boat, if one of them fucked up, the whole boat went over.
Sure.
And now you got a situation like Private Pyle in Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah.
Like he's fucking everything up.
Yep.
How do you deal with that? You know what I mean?
The PC or no? I mean, I'm not going to bullshit. There's, I never had like anything too crazy, but there's something to be said. I won't even use the word, but there's accountability, right?
Yeah.
I've fucked up plenty of things. Still do. I remember we were out doing desert warfare training a couple hours east outside of San Diego, and new guy, and you have, the way it's kind of structured, you have your chief of your platoon, and that's like the dude you look to. And I had a chief who's I don't know, 6'5", 2 something, you know, the guy you think of when you think of Navy SEALs, you know, think of me, you think of those guys. And of course I show up and I'm like, oh, great. Awesome guy though.
Like,
I learned so much, and there's no bullshit, like learned so much, but this is a trip or two probably into what we call a workup. So you're training, right? We always said if we're not deployed, you're training. You're prepping for that, you know, wherever your deployment may be around the globe. So we're doing desert warfare training and excuses, right? But you know, as a younger guy or newer guy, you're smoked. You know, you got all the extra tasks, and not just me. Like there were multiple of us. You know, you got to prep the ammo, or you got to clean up, or you got to, you know, all the rightfully so. It's rite of passage, right? And there's something to be said about that. Well, again, zero excuses because it took once. You load all your stuff up, all your gear, your weapons, ammo into the trucks, and everyone drives out. You know, I don't know, 20, 30 minutes away from where kind of the compounds or the buildings you're staying in, where we have like great food. And it's a pretty awesome setup for training, a great place to train. But anyway, so you're driving a good distance. And I don't know at what point we were definitely parked and getting ready to start our evolutions, you know, start the training with the cadre. And I realized, oh shit, I forgot my H gear. I forgot my kit basically with like my magazines, and I'm like, oh, what am I going to do? Be crafty. So one of the guys in our platoon, actually one of the guys who worked on SEAL team, I'm like 5'11", he's probably 6'2", 6'3", right? So this will play a part. I'm like, bro, I need to borrow. He's like, of course, you know, like, yeah, absolutely. So he does his run. I put his shit on and I'm running around like, fuck, I might as well be a kid wearing my father's shirt to bed, dude. You know, like your wife or girlfriend wearing your shirt. And, I'm running around and my chief looks at me. He goes like, Johnny, he goes, you forget something? I go, no, just trying a new setup or something along those lines. Bro, this guy's don't bullshit a bullshitter, you know? Right. He's like, okay, check, you know, kind of. And I was like, oh, I'm so fucked. And sure as heck that night, you know, I had some extracurricular activities, nothing insane, nothing, you know, I wouldn't, but I learned. And I've carried this, you know, with me. I was, however old, 2021, you know, to this day, I remember that moment. And it's going to take some things like that, right? And be like, okay, I was held accountable. I messed up. Pass that on, right? Obviously, as you well know, sometimes, you know, failures last longer, make more impressions than the successes, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that was a fun one. Yeah, there's a few of those stories for sure, but it's like, okay, like it makes sense. So I think to answer your question, you know, that accountability, that, hey, people are going to mess up. You're here to learn. Humility. I mean, you're surrounded by guys where you're just like, God, everybody is so good here. People are so much better at this and that, you know? So learning, I remember, you know, after a few platoons, you kind of might start getting a little cocky, think you know a little more than you do. And we were actually out, same location, but a different training trip. And I'd been around a little bit longer, but still, you know. And one of the cadre was like trying to, because you have training staff that are SEALs. They just, you know, you'll do staff rotation time basically, right? So it's like being on an NHL team, but you have to rotate and do some you know, trainer time or coach time, and then you're back in, right? Okay. So he keeps trying to tell me something, and I'm like arguing. I'm like, I know I'm right. And I remember he came up at lunch and he's like, Johnny, he's like, even Tiger Woods has a coach. And I was like, I'm no Tiger Woods, but I was like, I get what you mean. I've carried that. I pass that on. Yeah. I mean, I've probably said it this month to folks. And that was a big lesson for me. Like, dude, be humble. You don't know everything. You'll never know everything. Not only that, somebody's trying to make you that much better, right? Right. Like, so a lot of lessons, man. A lot of lessons learned in the SEAL platoons. It's pretty great.
Listening to you, obviously SEAL teams are like hockey teams, but they're also a lot like referees.
Yeah, it's a lot like referee. Yeah.
You know, you mess up and you learn. You're held accountable. You know, I had fines, and you know, you might lose an assignment, but you also have to work with guys that some of them aren't towing their weight or don't know what they're doing. And, you know, again, we're not in jeopardy in the sense of, you know, when our life isn't on the line, but, you know, it's very similar. It's amazing. Like, it didn't click to me until you're talking about it, Brett. And I'm sure you're hearing the same thing. Yeah. You know, like it's similar in that you got to go through that training process. Yeah. And there's a lot of guys when you're young. When I was in the USHL, I thought I knew everything.
Like now, I got a tournament this weekend, and I got like kids that never ref the midget level or the U18 level, and they're requesting games to work it. I'm like, well, you have no training. You have no qualifications to even put in for that game. Never mind do it. And then on the other flip side, I get 60-year-old guys putting in for it too, that it's way past them, right? And it's like, find your level. Like, know where you're at and there's a spot for everybody, right? You got women's high, you got everything else, right? But find your level
Find your
and
fit, yeah, I think you're always, I don't think you are, and you should feel you are in a great way. You're always being evaluated. No matter how long you've been there, what level you're at, right? You continue to learn, you get new responsibility. Things are always changing, and that's peer evaluations, your teammates. And that's sometimes formal, sometimes just, hey man, clean this up. That should be self-evaluations. Guys are pretty good about that. And then obviously, again, training cadre and people it's all to make you better.
Right.
And guys, obviously, if guys aren't cutting it, people are always, sometimes people slip through. It doesn't matter what you do, where you are, it's going to happen. Or just maybe people have things going on, personal stuff, or something you're not, I don't know. Something could have happened on a previous deployment, or who knows, money things. And you kind of take that in consideration. But obviously, the safety of everyone is obviously important. So if it got that bad, you're going to either retrain, correct, or, maybe remove. Maybe they just need to take a knee for a bit and be an instructor. And guys get burnt out, right? That's the other thing is we're all human, and it's, pot kettle, but not saying no, right? Right. Saying, yeah, I'll do this podcast, and here we are. Yeah, right. But all seriousness, it's and I remember some of the places I've worked while in, guys are like, hey, this place will work you to the bone, and not in a bad way. There's work to be had. Let's get after it. Right. You have to be disciplined enough, and a lot of times we're not. Again, yours included, where it's like, okay. So, yeah.
So deployments. How many deployments did you have? What was that like? What was like give us the gamut, right? Like best, coolest place spot you've been.
Yeah. There's a few things to talk about. By the end, again, some deployments were different depending on where I worked, so somebody did 4 months, some 6 months, some a little bit shorter duration. Total, I would say about 7 or 8. And I say that like somewhere kind of you go over for a little bit, come back instead of doing the longer burn, right? I mean, there's folks out there that 15, 16 plus, like way more. Yeah. And experience wise, I mean, across the board, I was, again, obviously coming here a little nervous, trying to think of figure this would come up. What are some, not just like the Iraq, Afghanistan, which, obviously have some of those, some other stories and things that I wouldn't have considered. Again, I remember being a younger guy, and one of the first trips we did was deployments we did was in Asia. So in that AO and a lot of exercises and stuff. And again, you're like, man, I want to be in Iraq. Like it's always like the grass is greener or whatever, And I remember working with the Thai SEALs. And again, I was a younger guy, right? Maybe a little confident, another word for it. But, just kind of like, this is where I should be. This is where we deserve, whatever. And I remember the first actually diving we did with them. We're rolling up with our wetsuit roller bags, 10, 11 wetsuits in there, a couple pairs of fins, and that's individually, GWAT money, all that money's coming in, the war is at its height. These guys are getting in the water. Some are duct taping fins to their feet because they didn't have working. A lot of them aren't using wetsuits. Some are using wetsuits that are torn. And I remember that was one of the first massively humbling moments I had in the teams where I was like, bro, shut the fuck up. Stop, man.
Stop
you
whining.
Appreciate, in my heart, am I still right now? I'm just like, okay, man. You realize how nice you got, you have it. And this is me. This is Jon thinking this, Jon talking to himself, being like, the other guys probably were already humbled and, appreciating it. But I had to have that moment. And I was like, if you take my goggles off, I would say it was salt water. So I was like, no, I wasn't crying. But I was just like, this is okay. This is, be grateful. And we had some good stuff with them, again, it's funny. You always kind of pair up with one and just get to know them. And I remember leaving them a bag of some stuff, like wetsuits and this and that and fins. And we didn't want to be again, very prideful people, right? Very and fantastic, good at what they do, just amazing working with them. And they're out on, basically have to take a boat. I'll leave it at that to get to where their spot is. And I just left it on the other side where the pier was. Well, next thing you know, we're getting, because they don't allow us to drive all the way there, they put us in these buses. So we're waiting to get in, and this little boat comes across, and he came up to me and so they have these shirts that has their emblem on it, took it off his back, and handed it to me. And I was like, I still have it to this day. Wow. Yeah, it's in my office, yeah. So that was an amazing story, right? Probably not where a lot of people think you'll go with it. we'll kind of progress into the, like, maybe, I don't know, I can't remember if I told you the Subway story. I don't know if you're like, but another fun one, we were there actually like doing this, I forgot about this until this last weekend, somebody mentioned it. Just kind of experiences you have, right? Again, we all go in to do like, hey, we're very fortunate for the time we were in. It's like practicing for the Super Bowl or the big show and never getting to play. And we got to play a lot, right? I went in 2002.
Yeah.
So not to go down again the ADD rabbit hole, but now it's interesting, the teams, right? Retention and stuff. Yep. Guys are showing up, rightfully so. Hey, I read about this. I saw this. Talked to these guys. I'm here to get after it, you know? And again, hypocritical because I'm like, thank goodness that isn't going on for it. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, I wouldn't want that to be different, you know?
Right.
But all that said, we were at this conference and I ran into some other SEALs and had no idea they were there. And they're like, oh, we're flying out, but we've been training these local guys in the Arabian Peninsula area, and big, nice city. And they're like, we're going to introduce you. And it's like, you know, they're the royal family and he is part of that special forces unit or whatever. And so I remember we met him out one night and he's like, hey, tomorrow I have a Jeep club. We're going to go Jeep through the sand dunes. I'm like, all right, like we'll come meet you. So my buddy and I go and meet him and we're sitting there. It's been an hour or two. They're late. And finally we're like, all of a sudden, all these Jeeps all jacked up, like nice Jeeps pulling in. And there's like this resort. They drive us over this resort. And then they're like, okay, once the sun starts going down, we're going to get going. And it's going to be overlooking the coast. And I look at my buddy and I'm like, this is either going to go one of two ways. This is going to be a really great fucking story. It's going to be a story we never tell. You know?
Yeah, right.
So we're like, you know, I mean, we're looking around. We're like, we're good. And so sure as heck, man, they lit us up in these different Jeeps and we just cruised around these sand dunes as the sun's going down. You're along the coast and they're ripping and they got all their nice fancy lights on and they don't drink, but they circled up. Started again. They were like, "This is the moment. This is it. We're done." You know? They start this big fire in the middle, and they had brought us beers, and we're sitting there drinking. And you're just like, "This is great. I'm on this trip right now. You know, on this deployment." Again, it makes you have this appreciation. Like, I don't know, you know, not to get all philosophical, but it's interesting when you get to know all these other countries that you aren't battling with. So,
how many countries have you been to?
Yo, man, I actually have an app called Ben, BEN. Not to plug it because I don't know them, but 10% to Chirping Zebras. No.
There you go.
And you can highlight all the countries you've been to. So all the states and countries. So I use the states for my Husky, and I'm like, okay, because I wanted him to get all the lower 48, which we did. And then the countries, and I don't know, I mean, 40 plus. I'd really have to like pull it out and look. Although I think that's a lot. And then I meet people that it's just like, because it lights up orange, whatever you click, and it's like their whole thing. And I'm like, oh, I haven't done anything with my life. I haven't gone anywhere, you know? So many more places to see. But I've been fortunate to obviously visit a good number of countries and more than many, I would say. And a lot of it was for work. So it's great too, right? Because they're
on their dime.
Floating on their dime, right?
Yeah, right.
It's the best
getting
way
to
to travel.
experience
That's what I
things,
say.
and yeah,
Right?
I've seen the whole country on someone else's dime.
yeah. And then you obviously get into the Iraq, Afghanistan, and I ask sometimes like, which did you like better? Well, I mean, different in a lot of ways, but I will tell you, Afghanistan there's some areas there that are gorgeous. We actually had on one of our deployments, we had a guy in our platoon, a SEAL, who his parents had honeymoon there, like back in the day. So whenever that was, before things were crazy. And you see the pictures of like University of Kabul and all the people, and you can look and say, man, this would be an outdoor, like motorcycles, camping, snowboarding, just amazing area. It's beautiful. Unfortunately, that is not the case, right?
Right.
But yeah, we had some good trips there. Some pretty dynamic, and we were very fortunate on certainly one of them. We were out a lot, doing some good things, spinning a lot. It's really what I thought of, like, hey man, we've got these helicopters, this dedicated air, and we're going out on targets, and we're going out quite a bit. It's just the dream. I think we joked, we were out at Kandahar, and it was to my knowledge, Canadian owned or run base. Either way, they had enough influence that they had an outdoor hockey rink on the base. So it's like this little kind of like boardwalk area, and they'd have, like Timmy Ho's coffee, they had Subway, foreshadow. They had certain things, and it was great. I think now they've put in, well, I say now, towards, you know, the latter years, they put it maybe like a football field, but it was cool. So we had, you talk about SEALs that have never played. We had a guy who had played in college, so that college sent over a bunch of sticks for us. Oh, and sick. So like they had a little league going, the Canadians, but it's funny, we'd miss like half the games because we were doing ops, you know, we'd be flying out and they'd be all pissed. Like, you missed another game. We're like, sorry, man. Like, but
sorry, we had
playing with guns. Yeah.
But it was a neat thing to, you know, be like, I think we had 2 or 3 of us maybe out of the 20 something that had played hockey or grew up, and it was cool to get all the other guys in, and just impressive because you see folks just, you know, ability, you know, running and hand-eye coordination and just how well they do, really not knowing what the hell they were doing out there. Right. And it's pretty amazing.
Now, that was in Afghanistan?
Yeah, that was in Afghanistan.
Was it ice?
No. It was just
synthetic.
It was like
Like a deck?
It was just like outdoor hockey, like cement.
Cement.
So
okay.
yeah, it was just a cement. So like
it was more street hockey kind
street
of
hockey. Exactly.
Gotcha.
That's exactly what it was.
I'm in my head going, it's a fucking desert.
No, I feel like it's not you, it's me. I feel like
they had an outdoor game in Vegas.
They have one in Tampa.
Yeah, and Miami. They're doing the Winter Classic.
The Winter Classic.
I guess they said they're going to, I was reading, believe everything you read. I think it was on Wikipedia. No. That, whatever, again, people watching this that are fans of that place are going to hate me. I don't remember what the stadium is, but you can cover it. So they're planning on prepping, because I was fascinated. I was fortunate to go to a Winter Classic in Minnesota, the Blues versus the Wild, which was an amazing experience. But I was like, how are, you know, this stuff happened in Tahoe, and how are they going to keep the ice? But I guess they're going to cover it, prep everything, have it going, build it out. And then when the actual game goes, they're going to open it up in the evening or something to like preserve it. Fascinating either way. Yeah. So it'll be interesting.
Sure they have the ability and the money to put in compressors and stuff. I'm sure. I mean, you know,
I would imagine there's so much money that goes into and around those games. I mean, the fans, the number of fans that can get into those hockey games. And then you got all the swag, right? The jerseys and all the cool stuff. It's pretty fascinating. It's wild. Oh, man. Have you ever gone to one?
I have not.
I've done one, an American League one in Detroit. Yeah, it was awesome.
Super cool
experience.
They
played the Marlies, yeah.
It was like -10 at puck drop for that one was it Target Field where the Twins play? Oh, it was nuts. Yeah. I think at the time it was certainly, and I bet it's probably still up there, was definitely the coldest.
Yeah, and I guess I did wear gloves.
What's that?
Oh, sorry. You wore gloves?
Well, I got made fun of. I did not care.
Anyone wears gloves, refereeing is, you know, is a little less than. And, but we always say outdoors, if it's super cold, that's the only time, although I wouldn't wear them.
I did a Fire Boston game in Fenway. That was cool.
A Fire Boston?
The fight is Boston Police. Yeah.
No kidding.
Yep.
Man, we were cool. we had a number of guys this last NYPD FDNY game that went up, nuts. And they said it was awesome. I was somewhere, so I couldn't go somewhere for work, but they said it was everything I've ever heard. So we've talked about trying to get a game with them, and we've got some points of contact, and because we're just trying to obviously get as many other teams to play, and you know. Exciting to play guys like that for sure, but I bet that was great.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah.
I want to go back to being deployed for a second. Was there ever a moment, and you don't have to give detail, but was there ever a moment where you were like, oh fuck, like this could end poorly?
No. Yeah. Let me start with
when I said to get on, what's it like to play with Bobby Orr?
Well, what's it like to win the Stanley Cup?
It sucks. I heard that. That was funny. He's like, he played with me, or they played with me, or whatever. Yeah, sure. You know, without a doubt, and you know, you can always. You know, you hope for the best, you plan for the worst, you work through your contingencies, and there's some things that are just out of your control, right? We had a lot of good, you know, leadership over there and mission planning, just the way we did things. And that trip, I mean, I always say some close calls, and we were very, very fortunate to bring everybody home and home in one piece for that particular one that I'm talking about. But I think that when I always like Astor would say, oh, the closest I've ever come to dying. Now you sit there and talk about it, except on a podcast, I guess. But no, was this one up, and we that's why it's perfect timing for the subway out. So we went in. I just racked through my head real quick to make sure, keep it all clean and kosher. So we got dropped off. Again, we had amazing air assets and helos, and we had some good.
When you say dropped off,
yeah,
like it's not an Uber pulling up to the sidewalk. You jump out of
Uber helos, which they actually do have in
5
UAE.
stars.
No way.
Yeah, like when they do the F1, the app has like a helo. I've never done it, but you can have them pick you up and they'll take you to another landing pad near the F1 and they drive you. It's kind of different money over there, right?
Yeah.
Well, they did not have that in Afghanistan. So yeah, we have these amazing helicopters. Again, I'm like, be careful about like what units or what I'm saying. So, just unreal pilots. And for that trip, myself and another guy were our point man. So we would plan all the routes, right? So your infill routes. So once you get dropped off, where you're getting into or how you're trying to get there. And we'd get with the helicopter pilots. And again, these guys are just amazing. Again, another humble where you're just like, wow. Some of these guys had been, former ground guys and then, doing whatever infantry or ranger and then became pilots. And so it's really neat because you're like, man, now you're flying, they get the ground. But anyway, so they'd, we'd infill or insert with the helos. And in this particular one, we were kind of inserting in a valley. I mean, it was a massive valley. And I think when we were talking about it, a mile wide, a mile and a half, it was extreme. So drop us off. Nighttime, right? Cover of darkness. Obviously, we have all our fancy stuff, and so we can see a little better. They can see, and we get dropped off. They take off, and immediately these shots start going out. And I say going out and like over our heads, but again, I said a mile or whatever. And what was happening is the bad guys were doing what we feel is recon by fire. So they knew helos had come in. They probably couldn't see them, but they knew something had just happened. So they were just so I don't speak for everyone, the thought is that they wanted us to react, right? So then they'd be able to dial us in. Where are they? So if we start shooting back and there's tracers or gunfire, they're like, here they are, right?
Yeah.
So they're way over our heads and we're like, hey, we're good. We had planned the route to basically go the other direction anyway to get to the target where we were.
How many are on this mission?
We'll say we had about 24, 25. Plus with us. Yeah. And then, so from there we keep patrolling, make it through the mountains, and we're getting some calls during that, saying, hey, like these guys are looking for you, right? Cause we have other assets and other things around there. Other great pilots and talented folks that are there, protecting us and our interests and making sure we're okay as best they can. And so, as we're patrolling, it's like a movie scene, and we don't really know what's going on. Like guys have communications, and so you're kind of getting some of the input, but you don't really find out till later. And kind of seeing these flashes because we're in this valley again, going down, and flashes from the other mountainside. They're like, oh, they're probably like getting after it again. So these guys are probably coming after us, and then they're taking care of it. So we infill, we finish, we go to the targets, we do our thing, at the houses, and whoever we're looking for, and there we were asked to stay overnight, like remain over day, right? A lot of times there would be propaganda that came out and they would claim things happened that didn't. So they're like, you guys stay. Or maybe we were just told to stay. That's probably how it went. So we stayed. And we split forces a bit. So we put some folks up in the mountains, and then we had some guys down in the houses. And my fire team went up to the mountains. Well, I had mentioned prior that there was a Subway around that boardwalk on Kandahar. So we're like, hey, let's get this Tupperware, get Subway sandwiches, and then take them out on target. So everybody's eating like their other food. We got these sandwiches, right? So so we go around, we kind of split up in our little group. Again, I don't want to get too into numbers, but there's a couple of us, 2 of us on the other side of this kind of rock outcropping. And complacency is never great. You're somewhere long enough or you do enough things, you kind of start getting that way, right? So maybe hypothetically you take your helmet off and maybe you take your kid off. You're just taught, right? You're like, I'm hanging out. I just want to eat my Subway sandwich.
In the middle of fucking the desert.
Yeah. on the mountain. Yeah. Awesome. And we start seeing some folks. So we're looking out. There's another mountain adjacent. Again, I'd be lying if maybe 500 yards, 600. It's been so long, but far enough where you could see him with naked eye, and you're like, and you see him kind of pop up and pop down, pop up, and weren't sure, but a lot of times they'll kind of like, hey, are they trying to see where we are? Which is what you could suspect. All right, we report it up and then keep eating, and you start hearing what we think are it's these cracks. And usually when you hear that crack, like when we're doing training and you're down, you might be down, when you're firing at a range down in the bunkers, and the snaps will go over your head, and that's the bullet, it's just the speed of it, right? It's breaking. And so we hear that, and we're like, and then all of a sudden we see things kind of start like chipping up, and we're like, oh shit. And you look up and you can see people just kind of like amassing, right? And so we grab our stuff, we run around to the other side. At this point, all the fire team comes together. We're trying to get on comms, and we'd pulled the air away. So we're trying to get them back on station. And it's almost just like, again, years later and what you put in your head, like a movie scene, but they're kind of starting to amass a bit around. So not 360, but getting a little, a little unnerving when you have some other elements, other places, and you want to be careful. And at one point, something comes and skips off the ground. And it was, I don't know, 20 feet, 25 feet, like close where you could almost like spit to it. And RPG was a dud. And we're like, fuck, this is getting real. And I remember this moment of, you talk about being like, I don't know if we're gonna make it. Like everyone is like laughing, not in a crazy way, just kind of like positive, like, all right, boys, here we go. Like we're trained for this, look at this. And kind of smiling and being like, and I remember looking and being like, man, not saying this. Like, I don't know. I hope we all get out of here unscathed and hopefully not worse, right? You're like, this is pretty close. So, fuck. But again, we're surrounded by some pretty amazing people that are very talented. So this went on for a while. I mean, you can hear at one point guys over the hill that we were basically just on eating our Subway sandwich, which we didn't get to finish, by the way. Spoiler alert. It could, again, I'm being careful to like give away, too many things, but we were trying to get our air back on station, so we had some protection, right? Because that's a big thing that we have, air power, right? In many different forms. And we had, I believe, like drones, some kind of support, so we had air, but they couldn't do anything offensively, right? So like at one point we were asking, we're like, hey, can stupid idea, but can we lower that drone where maybe it'll scare them? No, silly. Back to the drawing board. People smarter than I were like, no. But we finally got some French Mirage, and they came from one of the bases. It doesn't matter. It wouldn't drop, but they're like, we'll do show of force. And I don't know if you guys know what show of force is, but just a low flyover, right? So what it sounds like, show of force. You think of like air shows, right? Where they fly out close to the crowd. And I remember like we had them calling in, we're talking to them, and we knew that they were close, but we didn't know they were this close. And this mofo came over this mountain and turns, and we can like pretty much see his eyes. We're looking, and scared the shit out of us in the best kind of way. Yeah, right. Because you're hearing that, and all this stuff's been going on. And so he did fly by. Obviously, everything calmed down for a bit because suppressed everything. Yeah. The shitheads weren't trying to go after us at that point. And then we just coordinated with, hey, all right, they're going to do another one. And at that point, everyone jocked up, get all your stuff on your helmets, and we're going to time it where they do that flyover, and then we can sprint back down the mountain to reconsolidate with the rest of our crew. And we got down there, and at that point, things went on for a little while longer. We ended up getting our air power and, kind of taking care of it. Amazing. Very fortunate to have those folks, and just, from all the NATO forces and everybody, and then we exfilled, and, we'd kind of pulled the air off a little bit, like kind of backed them off, and we were like, all right, that was a little scary. Wow. And then, we exfilled. So hopefully that was entertaining enough that I don't want to admit so much where it doesn't make sense, but at the same time, I'm very careful. Out of respect for others. Like,
and an RPG hits and is a dud. Yeah. Like that's. Did you take the Tupperware back, by the way?
Rather it didn't arm or what? What did happen? We were so probably just in the moment. I'm pretty sure we left with it, but you would think I would have like saved that, right? And been like, oh, this would be a cool moment years later, but I do not have it to this day. No. Damn. Next time. Just joking. Knock on wood. That was a pretty funny / internet interesting. But again, you talk about folks' dedication and their training, and just like, again, you're working with these guys for so long, years, some of them. Right. You can almost just like look at each other and be like, we're good. We're good until we're not. Let's go.
Right.
Yeah,
No bravado, nobody freaking. I mean, nobody. And it was just, it's impressive. Again, humbling. You get back, you're like, man, I'm surrounded by some amazing humans. It's pretty interesting. That was. I mean, always the one that I think was the hairiest one that I've experienced, or at least what is like forefront of mind when like people ask. Because some of it, like guys are, I was saying today, I was like, I hope I can think of stories for you guys. Like I'll be around some of the boys are like, you remember blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot about that.
Right.
And you kind of get rolling, but that one is very, and again, not like, and it's okay. People go through it, but it doesn't keep me up at night. It doesn't, I'm fortunate for that, but you're very like, I can vividly see multiple of those scenes, the rocks, the mountains, the guy that was standing there, the planes coming in, and you're like, oh, interesting. So
that's wild.
I mean, the training, it goes to show like how important that training really is. Because like, even like the second you land and somebody just gets spooked and just gives off your location because they decided to shoot a couple of rounds, right? Just like little things like that, the discipline that goes in the training and the process and the steps it takes to get to that, even to that point, is incredible. And it's like, you guys are something else.
Repetition, right? And again, just emulating your peers and like guys that have been there for even longer, or the talent. Yeah, we're very fortunate, for sure, to have that. It's a neat setup.
That's just an amazing story.
Yeah.
Like, unbelievable. Because I'm, like you said, like a movie. I'm thinking of movies where you see the guys kind of come up over the hill. So
I've seen, there's plenty of those movies where you're just like, oh my God, like they're surrounded. Next thing you know, like air support comes in,
Yep.
That's nuts. Now, this might be a dumb question, but as far as military movies, what's your favorite military movie that was kind of like, that's not 100% accurate because everything's Hollywood-wised or whatever, but...
Yeah, I'm trying to think. What do you mean that you think is more like a little more accurate?
Yeah, like Full Metal Jacket, I think was pretty good because what was his Lee Majors? I think was his name. The drill sergeant was an actual drill sergeant, and a lot of people said that was legit. And then the scenes when they deploy, that was a movie that seemed real.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say Stripes, but...
Yeah, well, what's funny is my hesitation is like, all I can think of is smart-ass answers right now, like G.I. Jane, I can't get out of my head, I can't get Under Siege out of my head,
Under Siege, that movie. Yeah, right. And she popped out of the cake, that was my favorite part. And Erika Lanevec, that's who it was.
Wild about that is those are, I had an Under Siege and a Navy SEALs movies poster when I was a kid. Right. And those were like on my wall. So it's funny, you go back to that and you look back, and again, I'm not one to sit and be like, that's bullshit. Just let everybody watch it. But some of those are pretty extreme. But hey, if they're entertaining,
that one.
Yeah, Jarhead.
You know what one I always, I say as a kid, it was really when I was in high school, and then finally read the book that always stuck with me. And still, and again, I've talked to some folks that were there, Mogadishu, Black Hawk Down. Oh yeah. That one, like it was. Yeah, it motivated the heck out of me when I was in high school. Now, again, maybe ignorance is bliss. And again, if you talk to folks, but as far as accuracy, there's certainly, I think, sides of both on it. Yeah. But that was a big one for me that motivated I met
one of the pilots that was in one of those. Yeah. He works at West Point. He's like one of the...
Is Durant?
That might be the name. Yeah.
It might be. I don't know if he works there, but he's well known.
There was somebody, and he was like, he's just like the kid I knew, he was like, dude, he's one badass mo.
Yeah. But that was, again, one I can think of.
12 Strong. I watched that recently. Yeah. That was pretty wild on the horses.
Crazy. I kind of want to watch one of these movies.
That was good.
Have you ever seen the monument at, is it Freedom Tower, where the World Trade Center is? And they have like the horseman statue?
Yes.
It's amazing.
When I went down there, it was funny because
so well done.
I didn't, at the time, it's amazing. Yeah. But it didn't really click with me. You know what I mean? Like,
we went there years ago. We had some meetings up there when I was still active duty, and some guys took us down to it because they took us up to the top of the World Trade Center, or is it Tower 1? The Freedom Tower now. Yeah. They have that spine. And so they got us like a little tour up there. We got to like, it was amazing, just an amazing experience. But they had that at the base of it, and it just had, kind of some, not barbed wire, but chain link fence around it. Still incredible. And then I went back, actually, my buddies were doing their New York tour, playing, the Islanders and the Rangers. And we stayed down in that area. And I brought the guy I was talking about earlier on the back deck about, out in 10 years. So he and I went over and I showed it to him. And it was, again, hockey player that's just like, this is wild, huge appreciation. But yeah, man, that thing is beautiful.
Yeah.
He did a good job with that.
Pearl Harbor was a unique place to go.
Yeah.
Like that whole museum. And
yeah, I've been there.
And that was, and my father fought in World War II on a destroyer escort.
There's still oil coming out of the,
his ship was in every major battle in the South Pacific, and actually was one of the ships that escorted the USS Missouri into Tokyo Bay when they signed the surrender. And so that was kind of it was kind of eerie.
You talk about a humbling, it is. Just like I the first time I went there, I was 10 years old. And I don't think about this often. It's interesting, but you saying that, when I think about the first time I went, and then years later, a little more mature now, when I was there were all these gentlemen, all these veterans that were there at Pearl Harbor, and they were standing around and they would tell stories around the lines. I'm 10. You're like, but I don't want to listen to someone talk, right?
Right.
I mean, other 10-year-olds do because they're much wiser than I, even at my age. But, and I still look back to those. I'm like, man, if I could sit and listen to those stories, those firsthand stories, and that those heroes went through, it's crazy. But yeah, that's a wild spot for sure.
There's a DE escort out in Albany that they refurbished, and it wasn't my father's ship, but it was the same class. And we went out there, my two brothers and my dad drove out, and the curator on the ship was also in the South Pacific. And, the stories, you just sit there and just,
Dude, that's something
like,
sick.
No, it's talking about
looking like all those, like that is someplace you did not want to fucking be.
The story, like Iwo Jima, his ship was parked just far enough that the Japanese guns couldn't reach them. And they were just unloading theirs into the cliffs. And he said, watching the Marines just get annihilated. And he goes, we're out here with our shirts off, getting a tan, blasting the guns.
Yeah, right.
And even that, they're not in danger. But to watch that, like that,
for sure.
I mean, just.
I think that, again, folks react to different things, different ways, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think a lot, and I joke about being desensitized, but maybe the way we're trained, and the issues still come up in the teams and these special units, and just like they do anywhere else. But I think that's some of the biggest thing is, whether it's like survivor's guilt or like, like some of that, like seeing things happen or your buddy's not being there anymore, like that gets people, equally as much. Again, there's going to be differing opinions, but I've seen that, that's can be hard. So like you're saying, just seeing that, like, why them and not me?
Right.
Is a lot, right? I've seen that kind of really, really bother people. So it's crazy. Let's take it down to depressing.
Well, but it's something. It's something that a lot of people might not realize,
right?
Yeah.
Unless they had someone tell them a story like that, or have been there, like you.
Yeah.
I mean, it's something that people might not even think of.
Yeah.
Like,
we definitely take our freedom for granted. That's for sure.
Well, I think, and that's why it's great when I'm part of these, Warrior for Life games, or even when I get shot by one of you guys, and
with a hockey puck,
he loves that.
He says shot and just leaves it up, throws it out there. Yeah. Remember you in a training exercise? Nah.
I think I can say his name, right? We joked because we said Chris was if Kevin Miller had a cheat code, that would be Chris. And he's the one I showed you the picture. He's taller than me, kneeling down.
Yeah, he's a big boy.
And but he shot
Strong
me.
as
But
shit,
that's all right. I stayed away
Broke your
when
foot,
he had
right?
the puck.
Yeah,
it gave me it fractured my.
He's so nice though. He's the kind of guy. I mean, like he
sent me the nicest note.
Yeah, of course he did.
He sent me the nicest note. He sent me
great.
a coin. Like that was one of those special ones. He said, like they don't give out to everyone unless they shoot you. And and he sent me shooting glasses.
Nice.
They're so cool. I put them on. I feel a
Fagan's
little
in
tougher.
town. Let's go shooting with him.
Yeah.
He took me shooting last time he was home.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna wear them when I go to Matt Light's shootout. I do that. The Matt Light does a shootout, and you shoot the clays.
Oh yeah.
And with the shotguns, I got 22
like
out
clay
of 50,
pigeon or
which
sporting
wasn't
clays.
bad for me. I never.
I thought you said 22 out of
Yeah, it's so
500.
fun.
No, he was full of shit. He first said that. Yeah, it's almost like a golf course.
Yeah.
And you go around,
Yeah,
and each one has
exactly.
different,
Like,
challenges.
yeah, that's
One shoots. So you get like one coming across, one going on.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah, those are
I
fun.
had, I had
I
fun
just
with
feel
it.
like you see those like stupid like cartoons and you just like, sorry,
Like Elmer
Yeah,
Fudd?
like Elmer
Are you
Fudd.
Elmer
There you
Fudding?
go. That's all I can think of. I was like,
That would be you.
Yeah. I'd be like, oh, falling it too far.
You'd
like,
be the one that would turn with the
idiot.
gun, go,
Yeah.
where do I shoot? Everyone's ducking.
There is a lot of technique to that. I've had some friends that were either on teams that did it, like shotgun teams, and you're a pretty decent shooter if you're in the military or in some of these units. But you go out with those guys because it's what they know and do, and it's very calculated, and there's a couple different ways to do it. But yeah, I haven't done that in years, but I was just talking about it somewhat recently. I need to get back out there. It's fun. It's a good little side hobby to do.
I'd like to bring you and put you on my team.
It'd be fun.
Maybe we'll do like a referee like team building exercise at a gun range.
Shoot each other.
Run.
You know what? I saw something fun.
Is this recording? No.
Just kidding.
They played Roman candle wiffle ball.
I saw that. Idiot.
you see that?
Yeah.
That's so
What
sketch.
what are you doing?
Oh, it's stupid, but it looked fun.
It's
as a
something I would have
kid,
done as like a
100%.
15-year-old,
As
but
a-
like,
100%.
yeah.
Well, we used to do
I'm pretty
that.
sure we used to shoot it at each
Trash
other, not
can
play a
co-
game. Like, we
no.
didn't play a game. We just
Roman
did it
candle
at each
wars.
other.
We
Yeah.
did it. We had
Yeah.
a trash can cover and a Roman candle, and you'd shoot them at each other, and you'd block them with the can. I'm not saying
We
it was
didn't
a
have
smart
block. We
thing
went
to
down
do,
the
but-
we went down the schoolyard. Like one person would be down the ankle.
Yeah.
Like idiots.
No, yeah, no. It's I had my
You can
friend's
still do
father.
it. You still got it.
He was shooting bottle rockets at us. We were out in a rubber raft in the lake, and he's shooting bottle rockets at us, and one popped the boat, and we're trying to paddle in.
Hope you can swim, kid.
it's, but that was a different era.
gonna say, yeah.
That was different.
The things you do.
Yeah,
when
we were different back
I
then.
love that
My
as
generation.
like. Yeah, it was a different era.
I don't know. It goes every area. It's
Ignore
like,
the ignorance. Yeah.
Yeah, it was completely stupid, but
We knew it was wrong at the time, but now it's now it was different.
I'd still do it.
I'll save.
Now, you have a big connection with the NHL. You know a lot of guys. Your take on the upcoming season?
Great question.
Thank you.
Man. Now I'm not gonna. My take. Well, there's an outdoor classic. No. What do you mean? Like, who's gonna perform? Who's gonna do well?
Who do you like? Who's your favorite team?
I'll be rooting for sure. St. Louis Blues has got it. I mean, they've
Okay.
been so there for me, and just some good buddies.
We'll get a
with that
great coach.
Organization, amazing. Monty's
yeah.
amazing.
Great guy. You know him?
I mean, Chief was as well. Yeah, I do.
Yeah, Monty's a good guy. I ref Denver for years when he was out in the NCHC. So
Okay.
yeah, I know him
Yeah.
quite a bit. Yeah.
Well, perfect segue. My next would be Colorado.
All right.
Not only being from there, but now through a buddy who is now with one from the Blues, a Ray from the Blues, and then now a Ray with the Islanders that was with Colorado. I've been fortunate to get to know Jared.
Jared's
and
awesome.
C-Mac. They're
Yeah.
amazing, and so another just amazing group. I mean, I keep saying that, and it is hard not to like.
Jared's
be
a big
around.
supporter of you guys too. But yeah.
Yeah, I got them. I'll show you some pictures before I roll some custom jerseys.
Sick.
So for Ray Borelli with the Blues, and then Colton and Benner, and then Jared and C-Mac and Ray Bennett.
So he was coaching the
So-
South Carolina Stingrays,
Yeah.
and he won.
'Cause he played for them as well.
So like when I was in the Coast League,
Yeah.
I did the finals the year they won it up in Alaska.
I
Sick.
used that because his number was 21, so
Okay.
and that was their cup year, so I used that as his number. Yeah, I'll show you. It has like a trident, and then it has the tabs, so like Ranger tabs, Special Forces.
He's won it at every level. He won in Cleveland. He brought Cleveland
Yeah.
a championship before Cleveland did.
Yeah.
Right before the Cavaliers, and then he went to Colorado. And
He's big into shooting.
Really?
Yeah. So he's been working on range, which I don't know if it's done now. I need to check in, but built a rifle. And
shit.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep. Yeah, great crew. So definitely loyalty to those two. Some other buddies of obviously how the NHL is. It's like SEAL teams or anywhere else, people are going to expand. So I always follow that. But those are, if I had a genie lamp, those would be two that cruise.
Yeah.
I know the culture in St. Louis right now is outstanding with the boys.
Yeah.
Fortunate. I brought a couple guys out there from our team. So another SEAL, an SF guy, and met the boys, dinner, hanging out, brought them to the game, doing it was great. And those guys are just, outstanding. So definitely biased. Certainly those two states or cities. It'll be interesting, to see. We all know that, and nobody wants to hear it, but Florida just signed some wild extension and contracts.
They got everyone.
Unreal.
They got Bennett and who I hate, by the way, but they got Bennett and Marchand, who I love, by the way.
Yeah.
They got them both.
Yeah.
And they also got the defenseman there. They signed all three of them.
It's incredible.
I don't know how they did it.
I don't either. It's
wild.
wild.
They could win the next two or three.
I would have never predicted that they would be able to pull that off.
And I have to now, because Sam Lafferty was out in Bozeman and came on, former guest on the podcast. I gotta like Chicago. I gotta cheer for him now in Chicago. And,
I
because
think Vegas will be back this year.
You think?
Should be back.
I think they'll be back.
It's interesting. Petro left. Yeah, I hope he's good for him. Vegas has been all right too, though.
They got a great coach.
Yeah, another great
Edmonton's
coach. Right?
just poor Edmonton, huh?
They need a goal.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
They need a goalie.
And then Bruins, they just need some players. I don't know. They got a good core three. I think, they got they got the goaltender, defenseman, forward, right? You got something to work off of. Now it's just the
Filling
depth,
the pieces,
right? Are those third and fourth liners that are all question marks going to pan out?
Yep.
Yeah. I'm certainly happy that Monty's back in St. Louis, but you hear that and you're like, I don't know. I'm sure for you all that's he's
I was mad. I wanted him to come to Boston, and then when he was here, I was like, sign him, give him the deal. And then I heard, I don't know, I'm not gonna whatever, but it just didn't go well.
Yeah.
Well, I think this year more than any, because us in Boston, we're classic for why can't the Bruins get players like that?
Yeah.
We're going to be saying that a fucking ton this year.
Yeah. We're going to be the new Buffalo Sabres. Everybody used to play for us.
That's fucking... Sam just left there, so that's kind of ironic. Yeah.
Sam just got traded from there. Yeah. No, but they've lost we talked about that before on a podcast, how they lost everyone. Yep. I mean, they had a lot of players. So it'll be interesting. It's always fun. And
Toronto, I think Toronto too.
Toronto, they suck. They're never going to get past.
That's another great man. Berube.
Yeah.
Chief.
Yeah.
That's what Borelli would always say when I was there. He's like, Master Chief is here, because they're tired of it.
The guy beforehand, Sheldon, he can go pouncing. No. He yelled at me a lot. No.
I was going to say, you had him.
Oh, yeah, I had him, yeah. Actually, he coached that outdoor game I did.
Okay.
Yeah, but he was all right. He would snap, but I think I benched him once.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like he was yelling at me one time. It was like 9-1, and they were killing Binghamton. I was like, dude, not today. I was like, but I'm going to get you. And then I think the next time I had him, I benched him. He's like, what was that for? I was like, you gave me shit in a 9-1 game. I go, it's not going to happen tonight.
Yeah, we have ways.
I go, I remember that.
We have ways of getting people back.
Love it.
Well, I mean, we could go on and on.
Yeah, right.
All good things happen. Well, most of our endings, we start to end, and 20 minutes later, we're still going.
Yeah, right.
Cruising.
But it's been awesome having you come on. I mean, thank you for your service.
Yes, thank you for your service. Yes.
Keeping us, being able to do foolish podcasts like this. Without you guys, we couldn't do what we do.
Right.
I mean, it's true, and we appreciate it.
Well, thanks for being folks worth serving for. That's not always the case, and I'll say it live. So we do it for great people like yourselves and so many people out there. Wouldn't have it any other way. It was a great 20 plus years for me, and it was awesome. I'm very, very, very fortunate.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and obviously guys are still out there and have taken the helm and doing great things. And now with this, for me, this Warrior for Life stuff and the special operations hockey, it's I don't say new defined purpose, but it was something, when I was getting out and transitioning, going to corporate America, I wanted to do something that was again, be noble, but serve a higher purpose. And
right.
I talked about, I think a lot of us go in for all the cool high speed stuff. Sure. And it's awesome. It's great. But as I was getting out, or maybe more towards the end, you start realizing, you see your buddies and you identify it in them as like, You went in to like serve something higher and help people, protect people, whatever that is. And I think I see that a lot. You know, again, as guys are getting out, that was all cool. And that was one for me, as I was like, what am I going to do that's bigger than Jon or bigger than, you know? And so again, the hockey is just, it's amazing. It's like serendipitous and really like something I'm passionate about. And so to get to fuse those two things, and, you know, we're new, but we're trying to get there. And obviously, like we said, the goal is to be able to get folks and kids and guys on the ice that aren't paying and you know, get them the gear and get the ice time. And we're going to get there. You know, we're starting to get some support, but yeah, look forward to talking about it here and see where we are in a year or so.
I'm
Follow their lead for sure, man.
Yeah,
Ryan and those guys. Whew,
they
well
do
done.
an incredible job.
Yes.
And I'm not only honored, but you know, fortunate that I'm able to be a small part of it and just be around you guys. And it's just so cool. You know, it's so cool. And you know, being out the ice, even if you get shot, it's cool. You know, and I'm going to take that one as long as I can.
Get you a pink heart instead of a purple heart or something, right?
Something. Yeah. I get something. So, but I'll be doing the Warrior for Life game again here in Boston. I'm heading down November 29th to do that game.
In Virginia Beach? Yeah,
and
great.
I can't wait to just tour the facility and hang with
you're gonna
the
love
SEAL team. And
yeah,
so cool.
kind of
the
do
boys
that
are
stuff.
excited. I mean, I know they are down there. And then, like I said, we were talking you up last week, and so they're looking forward to getting down. And again, just they heard about all the greatness in Bozeman and just that camaraderie. Like you put anybody in that room, whether we're sitting on a ranch or, you know, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Sitting in a coffee shop, it's
great
good.
event.
Yeah.
It really was.
Yeah,
It was
those guys crushed it.
I hope that I can be a part of it going forward.
Yeah,
seriously,
likewise.
because it's so cool. Just so cool. So,
Awesome.
Jon Echols, thank you very much
Yes.
for
No,
joining
thank
us.
you, boys. I appreciate it.
Retired Navy SEAL Jon Echols. Just another great episode. I mean, we're rolling them.
Yeah.
We're doing all right. So you should like and subscribe on YouTube, because if you don't, you're gonna miss some cool stuff. Find us on the social medias. Again, Facebook, Instagram.
The TikTok.
We're on them all. I want to thank AOA Studios. As always, Mike and the boys do a great job here and taking care of us. And also thank our sponsor, the Referees Crease, one-stop shop for all your refereeing needs. And if you're out there and you're looking to sponsor a podcast, Chirping Zebras would be a great one to do.
We'll wear your hat or something you got, whatever you
put
need.
your
I'll wear a
logo-
pullover.
I'll tattoo a logo on. He won't get tattoos.
No, I'm
but I
not
got the
getting
zebra.
tattooed.
I'm going to get the other zebra. I'll fucking throw a logo on me. I don't care. Why not?
I hope someone.
Careful what
I
you
hope,
wish for,
I hope
yeah.
something goofy.
Challenge
I hope
accepted.
something goofy reaches
Challenge
out.
accepted.
Right? That would be awesome. And I'd have to get a fucking tattoo. But I'll do it. But for Gino Bender Jr., for Jon Echols, I'm Mark Riley. So long. We'll see you next time right here on Chirping Zebras.